You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis show. And my guest, Kweku Bako, CEO in here, Alfredo Gbame, and Randy Abe. Now, some of your messages, just a few of them before we move on to selling seats allegations. Now, Francis sends this from Germany. He says that Kweku is clearly defending the indefensible today. He should not continue on this tangent, on this matter. He does not have a good handle on the budget preparation and processes. Randy is making a whole lot of sense from my civil servant perspective. Then KK is in Cape Coast. He says that the items on the budget are constituency specific. The budget is born out of a needs assessment. A team that went out in the various constituencies to speak to stakeholders. In future, you could even find roads, clinics, etc. on that list. The resources would be taken out of the USD 1 million per constituency. There must not be any cause for alarm, save the 800,000 error. That is KK Siedu, who is a very, I should say, important person in the NPP in that region. Now, I've had about 2 different MPs send me sort of a reaction to Kweku to say that what was approved was not 80K, it was 800. And so, I don't know. Okay, so shall we go to the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards? That's the GEBA. And as you know, we're told that at that ceremony, a lot of things happened. And more importantly, Muntaka Mubarak, the minority chief whip, together with other minority members in parliament, raised issues, particularly about seats. If you wanted to sit by the president, and here we are being told the president meant the president of the Millennium Excellence, and in one breath we seem to understand that the president meant His Excellency the President of the Republic, and you were paying 100,000 to be able to sit close or sit on his table. On this issue, I'd like to start with Kweku. Of course, the president had to order the trade minister to bring him information on the matter. The trade minister did. And then the president's spokesperson and minister of information issued a statement saying that the president, having considered every information that had been brought to him, found that no wrongdoing had happened. But before that, there had been commentary from the deputy trade minister and also from others that suggested that there has been some conflicting information as far as this matter is concerned. What's your reading of all of that?
Look, the first time I spoke on this matter was last Thursday, and it was on Randy's program. And I was clear in my mind that communications that had come from executive was unclear, untidy. The whole packaging didn't appear to me to be a very tidy project. That was the way I felt. I hadn't done much checks then. Of course, the Millennium Excellence Foundation had also come on board, and they were the organizers.
Yes.
So they also brought some little clarity, even though there were still doubts. Now I have since, and of course I welcome the presidential intervention, the invitation to the minister to bring the facts and figures relative to the project on board. I have seen, and I'm sure we may all have copies, I've seen the statement issued by the minister. That's a press statement by the Minister of Trade and Industry on the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards. I've also seen a copy, this one is dated 20th of the presentation the minister made to the president through the chief of staff.
You intercepted it. Finally.
Yeah, you actually edged me on. Yes, it's him who edged me on, because really by Thursday, I really didn't like the noise. The whole thing was noisy, and I blame those who were speaking for the executive for quite a lot of the noise. I mean, the messy communication.
Those who were speaking for the executive would have been Carlos Ahenkra, who is the deputy minister.
I think he did a poor job.
How exactly?
And there was a statement earlier issued by the PR outfit of the ministry.
Yeah, you see, those, if you read this, the statement sent to the president and the press release signed by the minister, it brings a lot of clarity to bear on the issues. It cures some of the mischief here and there. I asked myself, why was this not the initial response? Why was it not?
Okay, so from your reading of all the documentation, you have come to understand that the correct position is that
this helps, but I'll tell you my own position.
Okay.
Because of the kind of environment in which we live and the arguments and counter-arguments, I still want an inquiry. The presidential intervention was not an inquiry in the true sense of the word. The president wants responses from his minister. Come and tell me what happened. The president is convinced the minister or the ministry did no wrong, that there were no attempts to usher the presidency, as people have put it. If I read this thing, I'm convinced it didn't happen that way. And
you expect somebody or another body to give a contrary view of what the president thinks?
Not contrary. If the president, I need an investigation. I wouldn't mind if there's a bipartisan parliamentary investigation. I wouldn't even mind if somebody petitions Shraj. I want the thing to go beyond the presidential scrutiny, because the president is seen as being part of the executive. Indeed, he's the executive. The minister works for the president. The deputy minister works for the president. This document here, these two documents here, for me are convincing. Okay?
That
I don't see how anybody paid money in order to have dinner with the president. If you look at the composition, those who even sat on the table with the president, let's take that presidential high table. What is it, Mr. Martin?
Yes, Mr. MoTI.
Yeah, I think that his thing about the president refers to him came too late. It was too late in terms of its effect. Everybody, once the president was invited and the president was there, and even if you read the minister's thing carefully, the minister talks of presidential high table, and I think it's in reference to where the president was sitting. If you read the statement I'm holding. And he makes the point that many people sat on that table without paying a peswa. Many people sat on that table without paying a peswa.
What would be his motivation for saying the reference to president in all of this was to him, the president of the award?
I cannot determine his motivation.
If there's nothing to hide, why will he be up to doing that?
Well, maybe he was reacting to the noise. It's not, if you are a coward. Okay, sometimes if you are a coward, or if you are not stable in terms of your convictions, and some of these things happen, you don't get the capacity to deal with the issues.
So it's Christmas.
Okay, Mr. Victor Beho, who I respect, highly spoke. Are we suggesting that what he said was an untruth? You see, honestly, when this whole thing started,
he chairs the board, right?
Yes, the Millennium Excellence Foundation should have been doing the talking. They should have been doing the communication. They should have been explaining. I don't know how come a member of the executive made himself, even though yes, there's a link, but I thought they talked too much. They assumed too much responsibility, when indeed they should have allowed the Millennium Excellence Foundation to do most of the talking. Whatever it is, I'm not sure whether, have you seen the statement?
Yes, I have.
Have you seen the report that the minister sent to the president?
No, I haven't seen the report.
Okay, it would have been useful.
But no, you're the only person.
It would have been useful. Maybe later on one can make some of the points, because he tells, okay, he says, on the night of the event, the following persons were seated on the presidential high table. Ashi Morton, that's Carlos Ahinkra, Amari Harry, he gives all the names. Then he says, for the avoidance of doubt, none of the persons are mentioned above made a contribution of $100,000 prior to the event as is being alleged. The following persons in the list above made the following contributions. They are listed. Okay? And then there are people who made payments who did not even sit on that chair, on that table. So the point really is that the idea that anybody who qualified to sit on the presidential table paid 100,000 is inaccurate. It's not factual. That is the way I see it. This statement is convincing as far as I'm concerned. But it might be convincing to Kweku Bakum, but not to others. And that is the only reason why I said I believe that it ought to be subjected to further verification, and that could be done through an established inquiry, particularly by Parliament, or somebody could petition SRAJ. I love to see that happen in order to bring full closure to this matter.
Have you had the benefit of the 23rd October 2017 letter that's issued out of the Ghana Expert Trade Business Awards and went to the various people? Sorry. Beginning with the introduction, your company has been identified and nominated to participate in the Made in Ghana Ghana Expert Trade Business Awards. The President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the government and the people of Ghana will for the first time recognize and honor the titans of industry within the expatriates, blah, blah, blah. Now it comes to talk about the Trade Minister and the Ministry and what they are doing in that respect. And this is signed by Carlos Ahinkra, the Deputy Minister. And you have attached to that, what has to describe what has to happen. It is a strictly black tie event, and then they now have the presidential circle partner benefits. So where you have to sit and what you benefit. And these are clearly stated in here. And so people take that and clearly see what was required of persons who were supposed to sit by the president.
Yeah, but I'm saying the minister has clarified the situation. If it's too long, otherwise we could have read it for people to get clarity. Okay?
Maybe the relevant.
I see the minister, this is conclusion. He says the very fact that there is evidence to establish that there were individuals stroke companies seated on the presidential high table who made absolutely no monetary contribution before or after the event. The fact that there are individuals and companies who sat at the presidential high table who made contributions only after the event. The fact that there were individual companies who made significant contributions but were not seated at the presidential high table. The fact that no expatriate business owner has made any formal complaint of extortion. The fact that at least one individual who was seated on the presidential high table has come out publicly to confirm that he made a totally insignificant contribution but was seated at the presidential high table, that is 13,000 Ghana cedis compared to $100,000 being alleged. And the fact that the exploited business executives who spoke at the event all paid glowing tribute to the commitment of the president to private sector development in Ghana, as well as the novelty and importance of the event. His conclusion is that these details put together do not support the idea that people were required to pay $100,000 in order to sit on that high table.
And that's not support. So what should we take? What should be the value of the invitation that went out and the prices that were put on where to sit? The presidential table, the offer was offer value 100,000 payable in Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Trade and Industry accounts, and you were paying to the Ministry of Trade and Industry account. And then there was another one, offer value 75,000 without seats on the presidential table and no plane tickets, no accommodation. And it is first come, first served basis. So these are clearly stated in the invitation that went to them as what you need to pay to be able to sit by the president.
No, but I'm telling you.
Yes, that some people sat there, but they didn't pay.
They didn't pay.
So what should we make of this then?
So those who paid, he's listed. He's also listed.
Okay.
There's a list of payments here.
Right.
Those who paid.
Right.
And all was supposed for the event to raise funds, like Victor Beho is saying.
Okay.
Okay. And then the amount was put in the ministry's account. If you like, I'll read that portion too. You see, so to be honest with you, that's why I said you can subject the matter to verification beyond the presidential scrutiny. But really, I'm convinced that there was no attempt to auction the presidency for $100,000.
Do us a favor, the portion about the money paying into the ministry's account in the report that you have. What does it exactly say? It was just paid into the ministry's account so that the ministry will just take custody of the money for the Millennium Excellence, or what? Because we understand that the ministry was supposed to be facilitating
accountability.
It says,
right.
Let me read it, about 3 paragraphs. As part of our arrangements towards the organization of the event, the Ministry of Trade and Industry insisted that all monies raised in support of the event be paid into an account held by the ministry to ensure financial integrity and accountability, which the organizers agreed to. It is therefore difficult to imagine how a government institution seeking to extort monies from individuals will insist on issuing official receipts. 5, the organizers of the event were specifically instructed not to collect any monies to place persons and organizations on the presidential head table for the event.
Really?
Wait, yeah, let me read.
But that was clearly attached to the invitation.
No, let me read. Let me read. And they provided assurances that this will not happen. It is worth noting that all the business executives who were seated at the presidential high table, who incidentally are chief executives of some of their top-tier corporate entities in Ghana, already have direct access to the president and do not need to pay monies to interact with him. Following the event, the ministry, in collaboration with the event organizers, have audited the account for the event and can confirm an amount of 2.6 million was raised against an expenditure of 2.3 plus. It's all plus. It is acknowledged that the event organizers, as private sector commercial operators, are entitled to a fair return for their efforts in organizing the event. However, it was agreed with the organizers that a portion of the additional funds realized from the event in excess of expenditure will be retained to support the organization of the next awards event. For that avoidance of doubt, none of the individuals through companies who sat on the presidential high table at the event made a contribution of $100,000 prior to the event as being alleged. Indeed, there were persons and companies seated at the presidential high table who did not make any monetary contribution before or after the event.
Okay.
Maybe they paid less or more.
Thank you.
He provides the list of each payment.
Okay, so AC, let's hear you on this. Let's hear you on this, and thankfully Kweku has given us sufficient background so we can briefly, get to the jugular on this matter.
Like the first topic that we left before coming to this one, you see that here again, processes have become murky. And it's a reason that what probably was well intended doesn't come out clearly. The readings around it that I have done show that, well, this was done by the MoTI and also the foundation. The foundation was to bear all the cost. The ministry was to facilitate this part of the fundraising. And indeed, there were more than this fundraising. There were several methods of raising funds, including this. I think that if indeed what you've just read there, that includes if you want to be here, this is what you have to pay if you want to. If these were indeed parts of that part of the fundraising, the president should have been in the know. The president should have been informed.
There was a presidential circle partner where they say sit seat on the gold president's table. And then there are benefits that you get, okay? Exclusive high round table for 10 within the presidential circle with company, reserved placard, special table decor with Moet champagne, special wines, brandy, whiskey, and vodka, special car park sticker, and valet service. Then they have a couple of others. Then they have the red circle partner. What you also enjoy, you don't get to sit with the president. You pay 50,000. And then there is the yellow circle partner. Also, the benefits that come with it, they pay $40,000 and also don't get to sit with the president, I see. And then the green circle partner, and there's the black star circle partner.
Quite elaborate.
That's what it is, yes.
Right,
they pay 15,000 only.
Right. So what the Director of Communications for the President, Eugene Ahin, has since been telling the media, the President was not aware, had not been made aware at the get-go. You don't expect every ministry to give details to the President what they are doing, but a matter of this nature, in which the President is directly involved, I think that the President should have been informed. That is the first one. But
apparently, like Kweku discloses to us, they were told that they were not going to use the President's name to raise funds. Yet they went ahead to do so. They gave the assurance, and yet went ahead to do so.
Well, that is what I'm saying, that comes as an irregularity.
Okay.
It is good news that the President or his office swiftly asked for explanations. It is good news that the reaction from the ministry was equally swift. At least we have some response from the ministry. The third one comes from the presidency to say that as far as the presidency is concerned, no irregularity, no corruption, as we want to mention, no corruption has been committed. For me, it doesn't even end there. If there is any organization, a state organization, such as the UOCO or the like, I am not too sure whether at any given time the charge has to be petitioned before it acts. Otherwise, charge, for instance, can even look further into the matter for clarity to come and for it to be seen clearly that justice has been seen to be done.
Okay.
At times, if you are seen to be probing your own self, if you are seen to be investigating your own self, no matter what, justice is not seen to be done. Like we was saying, well, the ministry, and indeed all ministries fall directly under the presidency. It looks a little like a dog-bite-dog situation. Let us have further work on this. Let us convince ourselves as a nation that this was wrong. Somebody has to be punished, or this was not wrong. I have been reading around this ever since it broke, and I get the impression that in some other jurisdictions, these happen. In the United States, for instance, these happen. But the fact that it happens somewhere does not necessarily mean that we need it here. Maybe, as Mr. Agbehu has said, as far as his organization is concerned, they are not going to use this method anymore, if I got him right. I don't think that for any reason, trying to use a public function at which the president sits to raise funds the way this one was carried out is good enough for us.
Okay.
There may be no ill motive, but I think that it is not desirable in our society.
Okay. Thank you very much, AC. Now, Alfred, people are beginning to ask a lot of questions, and they say, okay, if it is the case that the president, for example, had not been informed, and that the deputy minister who appears to have been in charge was aware and was not candid to the president, he should be losing his job, and the president should be doing a lot more of this to give the impression or to show Ghanaians that he meant all the things he said during the campaign, particularly that people who are doing wrong will be disciplined. And it brings me to look at what happened. Is it on the Wednesday or Thursday, where Theresa May, sacked the man who is known to be her closest ally and even referred to as her de facto deputy. That's the first Secretary of State, Damian Green. And his crime was simple, that he told a lie. And what was the lie about? That there was porn found on his computer. And he didn't tell the truth about that. And they said his conduct had breached the ministerial code and he had fallen short of what was required of a minister.
And you would think that porn being found on a minister's laptop would be a private matter.
Whose business, really?
Exactly. That is exactly why I think that it's unfortunate that the president and the presidency went too far in the statement they issued, in that they ended up mortgaging the president's credibility on some of these issues. Why do I say so? I say so because, you see, if the president had no knowledge of the event, he could have stated that and asked the ministers to speak to it. And subsequently upon what happened, the president may state a position. But per the president's letter, he absolved the ministry and the minister of any liability of any improper conduct. Unfortunately, the president, even in the statement and what Kweku has raised, in what the participants have been speaking to, have all deliberately chose to focus on one question and answer that question without addressing other key issues. Now, what is the question? Was $100,000 paid before the program? No, that is a fact, but that is half true. At least $75,000 was paid by one person, $50,000 was paid by one person. Subsequent to the event, they changed them, and then one person ended up paying the 100. And I'm sure if the debate hadn't come up.
In fact, before the event, the deputy minister himself had confirmed in an interview that 25 companies had paid various sums of money. Also, then after the event, then some others were paid.
And if this debate hadn't come up, they probably would change them and recover. So it brings me to the question, what was the essence of the event? It was an event with good, creative one. Let's honor expatriate, Ghanaian expatriate, people who've been in this country, who've contributed to the socio-economic development of this country.
The biggest taxpayers.
The Ghanaian, Lebanese, Ghanaian whatnot. We have a duty to recognize their efforts. So what did they do? They wrote to about 35 companies or so. But because of the packages, the payment and stuff, some declined the offer. So they had about 20-something willing to pay. Now, the question is this, and I think it is more of an issue because you see the question of people paying to access the president has become an issue. Not by me. I mean, you've had party people who made some of those claims out there.
Oh.
You know that.
That one is for the dustbin of history.
Well, whether it's for the dustbin of history or not,
it's talking of somebody who
people.
makes allegation.
It's not the only person.
Don't give it credence.
Unfortunately, the other person has not been invited. I'm not giving it credence, but I'm saying that it's been made. It's in the public domain. We cannot pretend that that information is not out there. It's been out there. So when you have a situation where a minister of state officially writes a covering letter mandating the collection of money for people to be close to the president, it's an issue. Somebody will say, like we read out, but it's been dealt with. But he has a very brilliant question. Why would organizers say, oh, the president in the letter we wrote was to me and not the president of the Republic of Ghana? It tells you something. For me, what it tells me is that it's an acknowledgement of the inappropriateness of something, and for which he would rather like to deflect the issue and take responsibility for that. But if anybody at all, you ask anybody at all in this country, and you write a letter and just leave it to the president, the normal conclusion would be the president of Ghana. Especially when that letter happens to come from a minister of state. The ordinary conclusion would be the president of the Republic
Well,
of
obviously,
Ghana.
he has been exposed as actually telling the untruth. So we can,
And you see,
we
there
can
have
ignore
been
that and move
so
on.
many of such inconsistencies, half-truths over the week. Look, the initial denial from the ministry was that they had no hand in the matter. Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
No.
The hand
hold
in
on.
it was facilitation.
Yes.
But you said they had no hand.
Oh, I printed some things. I couldn't do some research, but I got up this done.
Okay, so
are you referring to the package?
No, when the issue
because
came out, that
So you conclude quickly, and we get to hear from Randy, and then we take
so
a break.
let me go on. They said they had no hand in it. Then they said, oh, they only facilitated it. They were not aware of the monies. They were not even aware that the monies had been collected. Then they came, oh yes, it's in the public domain. You can check. I mean, they said they did. Carlos, I encouraged.
It's not everything you read you should.
Oh, but I've also listened to some of the tapes. I have listened to the interview of Carlos in crowd with Kwame Sefakai, and it's available on my piece of FM Online. You listen to
And
it.
he said the ministry had nothing to do with them.
He said initially they did even this letter. He denied the existence of this letter and asked for it to be produced, and said when he wrote the letter, he was not aware that they were going to attach this.
That is, but that's different
But
from
that's a denial.
the existence of the
When
letter.
you say you were not, the letter was attached, it's not a
you are telling me
It's a denial. It's a denial because
But
you see,
isn't it possible? He wrote the letter, and then they attached the packages.
As of the
so
time
isn't it
that
possible
he
he will
spoke,
not be aware? He
as
will
of
not
the-
be unaware. He will be unaware. And when you hear the gentleman also say, Ashimoting also say that, well, the president referred to me, don't you find that he was now trying, possibly, he was now trying to make sure that he doesn't get blamed for having done what they had assured the ministry that they won't do. Use the president to raise the funds.
for argument's sake, that that is the case. It may be that as of the time he wrote the letter, he was unaware. But as of the time he granted the interview, he was aware.
Okay.
And had been aware. Because he made it quite clear
This is what the minister
that
says in
they
his
facilitated the introduction.
Yeah.
They facilitated the introduction.
I want him to finish. You finish now.
Actually collected the money from the expatriate community because the expatriate community did not trust in the integrity of the organizers.
Okay.
That is how come the ministry collected the money.
Okay.
So you see, when all these things have been done, and you recognize that some inappropriate things have been done, the least you can do is to either hold the private organizer at least responsible and say, look, we had an agreement, you violated that agreement.
Okay.
I mean, we are building a society. Whatever we do today will be the basis for what will happen tomorrow.
You support a parliamentary probe into this?
I certainly have come to the conclusion that we cannot trust the presidency to
On
handle this matter because
okay.
it's...
Thank you. Could we read that portion quickly and let's have a...
This is what the minister is saying. He says, for the avoidance of doubt, the letter signed by the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry referred to above had no link to the sponsorship package.
That's correct. Okay, thank you.
Right.
Now, Randy.
Something. You see, based on the portion that the minister, that part that Kweku just read, if you have a copy of the letter signed by Carlos.
Yes.
Okay, look at the last paragraph.
Yes,
the last line.
Yeah.
The last one. Before the signature.
Yes, what does it say?
Okay, we look forward to...
No.
Okay, or the corporate partnership.
Yeah.
Do on from that point.
Yes.
We invite you to support the organization and hosting of this laudable initiative with the benefits attached.
Where are those benefits?
No, did he say he had attached the benefits to the letter?
The benefits
Or
attached.
benefits? No, that's
Okay.
that's it.
Okay.
No, I'm
Did he
just
say
asking
he had attached the benefits? Or it is assumed that this thing comes with benefits.
Okay, Randy,
So
go
please
ahead.
draw that
Randy,
line.
no. Sorry, please.
I'm
Allow Randy.
just asking a
Yes.
simple question. That you're writing to somebody to be part of a process. And you say that the person must be part so that they can benefit from something the benefits attached to it. What are these?
And
benefits?
there's a letter, there's an attachment which talks about the benefits.
Yes.
You are saying
So
that attachment refers
I'm saying
to the benefits attached.
What are those benefits? I am an expatriate business person. I received this letter from you. You're telling me that I should be part of it.
With the benefits
with
attached.
the benefits attached.
And there's
what
an attachment.
are those benefits?
Okay.
So, whether same day or subsequent, I receive a document that deals with benefits of being part of the program. And you expect me to divorce?
No, and those benefits were communicated to the expatriates by the Millennium Excellence Award.
Yes.
Yes, which is okay.
No, Randy wants to stick to this letter and treat the letter because he wants to treat this letter exclusive of.
I'm trying to get a point. The point I'm making
okay.
is that you are writing to the expatriate community and you are telling them, you're asking them to be part of a process. And you're treating them to be part of the process because of the benefits attached. What are those benefits
that come with our
what are those benefits? Have you told them what they are? What are those benefits?
Okay, you go ahead.
Stop
Stop asking questions and getting responses.
You know,
just go ahead.
I am raising this issue because, you see, I am sure that government would have wished that this letter signed by Honorable Alan Chermantin had come first.
Yeah, that one.
Had come first earlier. And that would have, clarified a lot of issues. It is not to suggest that there are no issues to raise in there. But this is saner, for want of a better expression. It sounds saner. Because you see, the first people who decided to speak to this issue clearly decided to distance the ministry from those benefits. In fact, words like ignorant, mischievous were used by both the PR or communications person of the ministry and the deputy minister. I'm happy I read Mr. Alan Chermantin's letter and I don't see any such thing. He goes straight to the point and tries to give you information. Now, when you have such an issue coming up, and then you have all manner of hot heads, people who think that they know better than anybody else, with such an arrogant posture, and saying that people are being mischievous and they are ignorant. What they brought first is enlightenment and sophistication. That is it. You understand what I'm saying? Now, when you see people clearly trying to distance themselves, you read a part where the minister talks about the fact that they were told not to use the president's name. Now, both the first letter from the ministry and Honorable Carlos Ainkura tell us that per the MOU that they signed, the issue of the sponsorship package was that of the Millennium Foundation. And the Millennium Foundation was not bound to show them anything. So to wit, they weren't aware of the contents that were sent out by the Millennium Foundation. You have said that you asked the foundation not to use the president. Yet, what they decided to send out, you did not ask to even see. And if you read the ministry's earlier statement, they even refer to an awards committee comprising both parties. So, indeed, there was a committee that had both parties working together. What was the need for that collaborative committee? And then when these issues come up, you say that, we signed an MOU which said that, the raising of sponsorship was the sole preserve of the organizers. So they were not bound to show it to us. We didn't see what they sent. It was their job. They have sent it.
Yeah, Randy, just a quick one. The minister again says here, it is worth emphasizing that the nomination and selection of award winners were also professionally managed by the international audit firm KPMG.
Yes.
Was that the award committee?
We don't know, but I don't think that's
okay. Let me share a couple of messages.
I made a point because of the point.
Let me share a couple of messages so we can take our break.
It could not be because
so you say the way to resolve this is to go by what Kukui is saying. We should go by bi-partisan organization.
You understand what I'm saying?
Understand you.
Let's have Randy finish.
You see, look, it is clear. I mean, with the greatest respect to Mr. Shimoti, he's my big brother and everything. The ministry's letter tells us that, in fact, those who sat at the president's table didn't need to pay money because they already have access to the president.
Yes.
Now, so people who have access to the president of the republic, who didn't need to pay money to sit with him, are people who will be willing to pay money to sit with Mr. MoTI.
Oh, I thought we had said we should ignore that portion.
No, how can we ignore that? When we talk, you see, because you see, it's important that the ministry says that we told them not to use the president to raise funds.
Right.
The initial agitation was the fact that the president's name had been used to raise funds. So now, the same ministry says that, oh, the MOU says that they should prepare the package themselves. So we didn't know what they sent out. And we cannot be held responsible. And that people are putting the two documents together to suggest that they were sent out the same day. So now the organizers come and say that, oh, so that they will make sense out of, they were told not to use the president. Oh, the president there refers to me, Mr. MoTI, and not the president of the republic. Meanwhile, the ministry says that those who were seated at that table have access to the president, and they don't need to pay money.
How do we conclude this? We do
to sit to the president. Now, secondly, is it true? Somebody just sent me info that on the day that Honorable Kalasayinkra granted the Journalist of the Year, Kwame Sefakai, the interview, he indicated in that interview that 2 of the people who sat at the table have paid money.
Yes. $75,000 and $50,000.
He just said that. He mentioned that.
The time.
He mentioned
and it is subsequent to the
event. Let me read some messages, and then we take our final break.
So what they've done is to say 100,000.
Okay.
And once it's not 100,000,
thank you, Alfred. We have already mentioned those issues. So, okay, could you? I think this may be different from the letter we also have here. It says that a correction. The letter Ahinkra signed talks about the details of the packages attached. Details of the packages attached. So how can he claim he didn't know what was attached? Okay. And then,
I didn't see that.
Is it not even more dangerous that the ministry was going to allow a corporate organization to attach packages which they didn't know anything about? That is, if you read the packages to mean that there will be an attachment. Okay, so how do you account for how the letter was treated? And someone says, please, sir, take this to the Shrad. Well, you are also a citizen of Ghana. You can go to Shrad. Well, Justice Short says that Shrad should actually be proactive in this. They should be doing what they used to do.
Allegations of corruption, Shrad can. It's conflict of interest.
This one from Germany, from Francis, says that a very good discussion, very important topics of national interest and national concern, exceptional. Okay, thank you. Don't like that. Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, you want to blow my horn. Blow it out of my show. Thank you very much. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we may have some 10 minutes to talk about ROPA. 10 minutes. I'm sure that's too short a time, but let's hear what the guys have to say about them. Thank you very much. We'll be right back.